Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Play by Play, Off Air and Online. Another jam-packed show. Of course, I'm going to take a lot of flack based on my predictions and my discussions around the Springboks. Of course, last week, a massive performance by them. We're also going to unpack Premier League action. You know, Liverpool picking up a massive result against Burnley late on once again. And our guest this evening is wearing a Liverpool shirt. I won't reveal who she is just yet, but she's wearing a Liverpool shirt. So she's going to take a lot of flack from Adrian and I. And then, of course, it was the Manchester derby over the weekend. Things didn't go according to plan. If you're a Manchester United fan, there's one way of spoiling your weekend is watching Manchester United on a Sunday evening. I think that's probably the best way to spoil what is a fairly positive weekend in terms of sport if you're a South African fan across the board. Nonetheless, it's a jam-packed show. As always, we're going to bring you the latest of what's happening around the world from a sporting point of view. And today, mainly, we're going to focus on rugby and soccer, as I already mentioned. Let me introduce you to our guests. I'll introduce you in terms of beauty before brilliance. I'll call it that. Tara Lee. Good evening, Tara.
Good evening. I'm very excited to be a part of this. I don't know why I got the heat so early on in the intro about my Liverpool shirt, and you and Adrian wanting to come for me makes zero sense to me considering the teams that you guys support. And it's not even a question.
Clearly, we brought out the big guns for this. Of course, Tara is a contributor and newsreader on the Hit 30. You can catch that, of course, every Saturday morning, 9 to 12 a.m. And then also, he needs no introduction. Every Saturday morning, he joins me on Play by Play. And he's been on the podcast, and we can't replace him. His knowledge is vast, as you know, I like to call it. Adrian Henley, good evening, brother.
Good evening. Hello. How are we doing?
I'm good. Give us a quick rundown of your sporting weekend on a scale of 1 to 10.
You know, this Saturday was actually the first time in a while that I genuinely didn't have anything to do. So I was in front of the TV the whole day. So from the men's and the women's teams, from the Curry Cup, from literally everything happening, jumping into football, it was great. It was amazing. But as you said, my weekend was ruined. It was so good. There were so many positives. And then obviously I had to sit down before my week starts to watch Man United play. And the worst part was I had some hope. I did have some hope that we could get a result.
I blame the pundits before the game about this. We're not going to talk about this right now, but I blame I think it was Michael Owen and somebody else for giving me hope. Because I really went into the game going, just somewhere, maybe a room, everyone can get it right. Maybe the formation is right. The team's looking good. Chesko started. I was like, okay, things are heading in the right direction. Yeah. Half time, to be fair, 1-0 down, also not the worst. But okay, let's not get there. Let's talk rugby first. Of course, last week we had massive discussions, debates, whatever you want to call it, around the rugby and how are we going to do. I will stick my neck out and tell you first up that I said no knee-jerk reaction. Rassie's made all the wrong calls. And I think to a certain degree I eat my words, but also to a certain degree I think that the knee-jerk reaction played into his hands and now proven that this box squad needed a bit of a rejigging and play the youngsters, see what they're worth, and the result looked after itself. I mean, what would you say about that, Tara?
I don't know about a rejigging. Doesn't it feel a little unbalanced? One week we see one style of play, the next week it's something else. I mean, where's the sweet spot? I mean, I know you would look at the game this past weekend and say, that's the sweet spot. Yeah, we need to play more rugby like that. But, I mean, is that what the Springboks are known for? Where are we landing with it?
You know, it's so funny that you say that because I just driving in to come and record, I was watching a lot of ex-professionals talk about the Bok way and sort of, you know, how the Boks are playing and you know, it's now so difficult to play against the Boks because there's two different, completely contrasting styles of play that you can get going up. Sort of, you know, if you go, for example, you're going to play against New Zealand, you know, you're going to play up against an expansive game. You're going to try and stop the ball from going wide. You're going to slow down their breakdown, etc., etc. You play the Boks, we can keep it tight now. We've shown that we can play in the wide channels. We can play quickly. I do agree, though. It does feel a little bit like we don't quite know what is the right style of play based on what we have at our disposal in terms of players. Who's on form, who's not on form. So the question, Adrian, is, do you think this is a fly-by-night? Or do you think we're going to see consistently good performances like this where we see a Springbok team playing expansively?
Yeah, look, I mean, everyone thought Rassie was taking a risk. It almost felt like he was saying, like you said, when you said it was a knee-jerk reaction last week, I didn't think you were too far off. It felt a bit like that. It felt like almost like, look, we had a terrible performance. Let's just try this. At this point, what can we actually lose here?
Yeah.
But they played such a good game that I'm wondering now if he's sort of game plan has gone out the window a little bit, because maybe now he sticks with this. Maybe this is what we want to see sort of develop. We've spoken lots about, is the goal at the end of the day always just to win a World Cup? And are the years in between really okay for us to lose and experiment and do all that, as long as at the end of the day we give another World Cup? Yeah. I think personally, and I think a lot of the public also, they want to start seeing more consistency. We've sort of seen a lot of like testing and trying, and it's given us mixed results, as Tara said as well. So what I'm hoping is, from now, is that we find something that works and stick to it and just add strength to strength. It is nice to know that, hey, look, if we need to completely change our game plan, we can bring a completely different game. But I think if we can focus on one play, and maybe if we can focus on what we saw on Saturday, this past Saturday, I'd personally like to see that more.
Look, I think the sweet spot, we all agree, the sweet spot is directly between where we were and where we are now. Oh, where we are after one game, I mean, we're not there, but you know what I mean? The sweet spot is that forward domination, grind away, you know, and the expansive game with the right players and the right, you know. What's nice for me, what I think about when I think Springboks nice, I think we've got the right personnel. You know, who is our 10? Who's our out and out 10 right now? I mean, Sasha didn't play that much of the game. I think he went off in the first half still. I think he went off, right? Very early on. So is Mani Libbok the answer then? You know, Rassie, funny enough, when we played the test matches, the one was in Cape Town at DHL Stadium, I listened to the press conference and Rassie said the balance is getting Sasha to play that tight game and the expansive game. Yes. I think Mani Libbok did that so well. Yeah. And somebody else, again, I listened to a lot of pundits, and a lot of them said to me that what made Mani good over the weekend wasn't the fact that he played expansive rugby. It was that he just found the balance between when to play when the wide channels. I mean, deep in our own half, we were still kicking a fair amount. We were not overplaying ourselves. We weren't overplaying our hand. And, I mean, in the end, we hammered the All Blacks. Yeah. Now, look, let's not get too excited. It's not the best, but it's not also the best All Black team in the world. They're also in a massive transition phase in terms of where they are in building towards the next Rugby World Cup. Where does this leave us? Here's my what do we take towards Argentina?
Argentina's unpredictable, because they've been. I mean, again, this entire rugby championship
has been unpredictable. Yeah.
Both teams have lost 2 games.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm nervous going into Argentina. Obviously, we're playing one at home and one technically in a neutral venue. Although we'll be playing in London, and I feel that's more a South African venue, if I'm being very honest.
Yeah, true.
I think, again, like I said, I want to see us stick to one game plan over these 2 games. I want to see how we can actually work on like consistency now. I think the time for experimenting, we've had several games now. Some of those sort of pre-championship games against Georgia and Italy, where I was hoping the experimentation would be done and we would actually just stick to a plan. I don't know if that's going to happen this time, though.
I don't think the experimentation is done, to be honest.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Where does he go to? I mean, like, does he bring a guy? I mean, I'm not saying throw Eben Smith away. I'm not saying throw 100 Pollard away. I mean, they've been massive servants for the game for so long. But where does he go to from here? What team does he pick against Argentina now? You know, in London, I mean, they're back home now for a week, and then they probably fly to London again, whatever it is, on Sunday or Monday. Where does he go to? Like, what is? It's so funny that you said, because what is our best team now? What is our style of play?
We've got 2.
We've got 2, and it's a lot to what we're going to expect against Argentina.
Maybe just put in a hat to just draw whatever one the week before.
I don't disagree with you, to be honest. I think we do have 2, and I think that's like where we're going to find ourselves.
But you know what Adrian was saying about this rugby championship? Probably the most entertaining rugby championship in a very long time.
Yeah,
Australia are sitting on top. Can you believe it? If you just look at a season ago where Australia was and what Joe Schmidt has done. Yeah. It's incredible. They could also take the Bledless low. It's insane.
It is wild. I mean, if I look at the logs, it's got it in front of me. So Australia in first position on 11 points. South Africa on 10 points. New Zealand on 10. And Argentina on 9. The only hope I have here is that if we pick up 10 points, we can move to 20. It does mean that either New Zealand or Australia have got to go pick up 10 points as well.
Yeah. Look, we could win, but we could also end up
lost
at the bottom.
Yeah, it's wild.
Which is exciting. And I think
it speaks
to the Southern Hemisphere teams.
Correct,
and just the quality that we have here. People
does.
always wanted to say, like, look, if you're playing against Argentina, that's just a team for you to pick up some points. But no, that's not the case.
They're so competitive right now.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, well, there you have it, folks. At least we're agreeing this week on something. The
In
log,
Rassie
the rugby
we trust.
In Rassie we trust.
Well, we do. Not you so much. You trusting in Tony Brown.
In Rassie Tara trust. I think that's the best way to put it. Let's shift focus very quickly. Ladies coming home, they've just returned. I know that this will be out on Thursday evening. They've arrived home on Tuesday and Wednesday. I really hope that I can look back at this and go, we packed out our Tambo, we packed out our airport just to welcome these amazing women back. Yes, we didn't pick up a result against New Zealand. I mean, but that is a proper New Zealand side.
Yeah.
I think we are a couple of years behind them in terms of just where we find ourselves, from a women's rugby point of view. Yeah. That being said, what a performance over the whole duration of this Ladies Rugby World Cup.
And I mean, I was speaking to Tara on Saturday, just before the match.
Oh, yes.
And you were saying, look, like, you aren't confident that the Springboks will win, but you don't want them to get hammered. And I definitely don't think they were hammered.
No,
I think looking at that performance, it was better than I think a lot of us thought it would be.
Yes, the innovation. Swayster Brain, I love him as a coach. He was great with the Lions. We saw what he did there. And then obviously he had his mental breakdown during the Super Rugby. But he has done amazing work with the Springbok women. His passion, the innovation.
I 100% agree with
he
you.
had rugby fans and rugby players questioning the rules.
Yeah.
With the lineup.
I was the lineup with the whole team in the lineup.
Yeah, what is it, 14-man lineup?
Yeah.
And that's actually allowed.
Yeah.
It is allowed. It's completely
No, 100%
legal.
it is
Yeah.
allowed.
And it was brilliant.
Teams have done it before. He's just bringing it back because the risk is so high. If the opposition put 10 players in the lineout, they lose the lineout, it's 2 passes down the back line and New Zealand go and score in the opposite corner.
Yeah.
That
You
it
know what I
works
mean?
in their
So-
favor.
Really did.
But it did really work in their favor. And the women's game is evolving. And that is, I believe, a great sort of, I must be careful how I word this, but like, it's a great platform to try these innovative things, South African rugby is evolving. Swayster Brain, I've always said, if you look at what Swayster Brain did with the Lions,
Yeah.
the way he turned a Lions team that was a very average performing team into now one of the powerhouses in South African rugby, to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
What he has done, he is so perfect for the women's game. And dare I ever say it, but I mean, wouldn't he just be an amazing, incumbent or maybe a next Springbok coach or whatever it is? But we've got to be careful of saying that because I do agree with what Katoa said last week. There is an element of the women's game needs to stay one element, the men's game needs to stay one element, and we need these powerhouses to stay in the women's game. So long may he continue as the coach, and long may we groom players and coaches through that women's game because I think we've seen it now.
That's going to be the most important part now.
Correct.
I noticed a lot of our players that we had in this tournament were actually on the older side. So if we're sort of looking for the future of women's rugby, we're going to need to start developing younger women sort of coming into the ranks, like Rassie's doing with the men's game, especially. I mean, we saw a very young side take on the All Blacks on Saturday and come away with the result. So hopefully that's my biggest hope is that because of what an amazing tournament we had, we can have some more investment, we can have more people sort of rising through the ranks.
Yeah.
But it is a very exciting time, right?
It is an exciting time. I hope more money gets put in because what you're saying is right, the development. A lot of women who end up playing rugby, even if it's like club rugby, it's not because they come from a rugby background, it's because they come from a wrestling background or another sport that they play.
Oh, you're so right. Yeah.
And then they, somebody asks them, hey, don't you want to join our rugby team or our rugby club? And then they say yes, and then they end up playing rugby. I've seen that happening. So I would love to see more women playing rugby. There needs to be more investment because you're investing your body and your time, and there needs to be some sort of financial reward at the end
No, I
of the
100%
day.
agree with you. I mean, and we talk about SA Rugby investing a lot of money. I get that. But the unions also need to look at it in the investments. Like a Western Province. Imagine a really strong women's Western Province team, for example, up against a Bulls, and whatever it is. The top unions. I think they are in a position where they could potentially invest more money into the women's game. And then it can only bode well for what the Springboks and the selection and so forth and so forth. And our best players won't necessarily, the Babalwa Lachas of this world won't just go and play abroad. They'll stay in South Africa because the competition is so tight. So long may it continue. But I think our rugby, and dare I say it, we've got 2 weeks to enjoy it. But our rugby is in a very good and healthy position right now, especially after a record victory against the All Blacks. We're going to shift focus very quickly. Of course, we're not too pressed for time, but as it is, Premier League, you've come here with your Liverpool shirt on, so I mean, dare I say it, But Liverpool riding high at the top of the Premier
Can I
League.
see Tara showing off her
No,
Listen,
the more she hides it, the better off she
I'm
is.
glad her laptop's covering it. Oh,
Yeah. There,
yeah.
there you go. Oh, poor you.
Look, it's there. But I think what you guys really want to talk about is the Manchester derby.
No. We
And
really want to talk about Liverpool. We have to talk
we
Liverpool.
haven't-
It's a very important fixture that took place. A lot of talk was, oh, this isn't the best Man City team. So them going up against Man United have a chance to win this. But a struggling Manchester City team versus a struggling Man United team, I always thought that Man City was going to come away with the win. And I think like everybody's criticizing Ruben Amorim and the system. Oh, it's the system's fault. It's the system. He's not going to change it. He said
that.
Well, I heard something the
direct
other day.
quote.
He's never coached any other system. So a coach needs to be rigid in his approach, surely. I mean, a Man United coach, one of the biggest coaching positions in the world. Say what you like. One of the biggest. He's not rigid enough to be able to go, this is not working, let's change things up. Like, that's a real problem for me. Like, how are we taking a coach that's so stuck in his way that is not prepared to go, listen, this hasn't really worked. And then also, I was reading, I should have saved it, but I'm going to try and tell you, but like, if you look at it, if you look at Solskjaer and the formation he used, then everybody, all the United fans and everybody came out and said, no, the formation, I think he went with like a 4-2-2-2 or something like that, whatever it was. Then everyone came out and said, no, that formation's not right. Then Ralph Rangnick came in and they said, no, the formation's still not right. He went with a 3-4, I don't know, 3-4-2-1, something like that.
He's like gen pressing.
Correct, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then, who came in after him, whoever it was, and also changed the formation. And every single manager we've had
Exactly.
since Ferguson, we've gone back and said, but the formation's not working.
Yeah.
But at some point, we also need to go and go, listen,
Yeah.
like, it can't be the formation every single time, nor can it be the manager.
Yeah, because for the last 10 years, how many managers has Man United had?
It's wild.
It's crazy.
And the problem then comes in is, and this is the problem I have with Ruben Amorim, to be brutally honest, is you can't have I get Jadon Sancho, not your style. Maybe even a Marcus Rashford, not your cup of tea. But you can't tell me that you go, oh, no. Not Sancho or Rashford, because those two don't count. The striker, what's his name? The blonde striker. You can't tell me he wasn't the right guy. You can't tell me that the other gentleman, the midfielder, was also not. Like, how many players can we just go and, they're not your style? Like, at some way, there's also a common denominator there. So United really need to get the act together. But what's the answer?
It's such a tough one. I saw a very short video that Pep Guardiola was doing, where he was doing like a quick, like, rapid fire response, and they asked him a question on, do you want your players to adapt to your system, or do you adapt your players to your system? I mean, should
Yes.
I saw that too, yeah.
What should, and he said both. He said it should be an issue of both. You can't try and force
A middle ground,
a
100%.
player to only adapt if you're not going to also give some leeway. And look, Pep Guardiola, probably one of the most successful managers of all time, especially in recent years. And I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
If you're trying to, I mean, Amorim's been trying this for a while. We've seen glimpses where it works. We have. But in general, it clearly just isn't working with these players. So there has to be, something has to let.
You know what the problem is now? And this is the last thing we'll talk about Manchester United, then we'll move on to the other results and maybe touch on a little bit. But like, the problem now is he's also stuck in his way with his formation, right? He sold a whole lot of players that don't sit for those formation. He's gone and bought players that only will fit that formation now.
Yeah, but
So where do you
he's
go to?
also forcing players into positions that they're not accustomed to.
Correct. Look at Fernandes now.
Yes.
Look at the Fernandes is playing.
How long is that experiment going to last before you say, okay, that's not working? And then Sesko,
I mean, I feel sorry for
he
him.
didn't even get a touch there.
But the reality is, what's the blonde striker's name? Please help me out.
Hoyland.
Yeah. So my thing is, right, like...
Oh yeah, he
scored
scored
in his
like
debut.
2 goals, 2 games.
within 14 minutes there for Napoli.
So, and if you look at, and I actually went there and look at the goals that he scored. He's getting ball. He's on the front foot. He's getting, he's making those runs in behind. He did that at United. The problem was no one's giving him the ball. So like he can't be the problem. But then what you gonna do? What message do you send? So you send Hoyland on loan. I think he's on loan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You send him on loan to Napoli. Then you go and spend bombs on Shesko, for example. And I'm going, it's much of what has Shesko got that Hoyland doesn't have? You know what I mean? Do we even need Shesko if you consider that we've got Cunha, we can play Fernandes higher up, Bueno on the right hand side? Do we even need an expensive, rather go and buy I don't know, A holding midfielder.
Listen, I'm agreeing with you because problems were not solved. Sesko does not look like a 70 million pound striker at the
Correct.
moment.
And
And
Rooney-
then a baby goalkeeper.
Correct. Yeah. Laments. Did you hear what Peter Schmeichel had? Our greatest goalkeeper of all time, Peter Schmeichel, comes out and he says to him, Manchester United don't buy goalkeepers that are not first choice for their countries. And that, for me, Laments is third choice for his country. I think it's, I'm not sure what country he's from. But anyway, he's third choice. When in United's history have you heard, we sell Onana, or we get rid of Onana on loan, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So we made no money from these guys.
That's how we've made no money this whole season. All our players were out on loan or very cheaply.
Anyway, what other results? Just put me out of misery.
let's
Arsenal
move on,
3-0
let's
against
move on.
Nottingham Forest. That's a big result for Arsenal, I
That
thought.
is a big result. And Nottingham Forest now with Big Ange.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What's
Yeah,
Kobe,
they
right?
do.
Yeah, that's quite a big, that's big for them, I think. But, I mean, they just
I don't
got
know if
rid
it
of...
was right.
You don't think so?
No.
Postecoglou's guaranteed to win a trophy in his
In
second
his
year in
second
charge. So just be careful. And then you're Liverpool. Okay, that's the other two results.
So,
You're Liverpool.
I want to know. Obviously, Liverpool, okay, top of the league now. Okay, they've won all their matches, but they are getting these goals very late. Is that not a point of like
They
concern?
actually hold the record for that in the
Yeah.
Premier League era for most goals being scored in the 90th
That's insane.
or beyond that
Yeah.
time in the Premier League era. I think it's like 47 or something.
I heard Virgil van Dijk to a post-match interview after the game. And he does make... I hate Liverpool, but... he does make a lot of sense. You know, no Man United fan likes Liverpool. Hate is a strong word.
You
so I
love
should
to hate
probably-
them, let's be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's bucket list for me to want to hear You Never Walk Alone being sung before kickoff.
100%.
That's bucket list for
But
me.
we can hear that when we play Liverpool at Anfield,
And we give them one.
and then we beat them.
Yeah. In 10 years' time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's more realistic.
But where was I going with this? I've lost my train of thought now with regards to Liverpool.
You're saying Virgil van Dijk's.
Oh, yes.
Virgil.
I was listening to his post-match interview. And he does say that, you know, they are Premier League champions. And so every team does lift their game slightly for them. And so it is a matter of breaking these teams down and not just a matter of we come out, we play an expansive game. You know, Team Burnley, super tight at the back, you know, playing almost, I want to say, 8 men behind the ball, really conservative, trying to starve Liverpool of ball, you know, playing a really like deep back line, so there's no running behind, etc., etc. And so it is a case of Liverpool knowing that every team they play against, you're playing against the champions, they lift their games tenfold, and it is a bit of a grind.
But
I mean, a grind
am
to the
surprised.
91st minute.
Listen, I am surprised that we've come away with a win every single time. We've literally scraped through. But even a Liverpool that isn't performing at their best is still getting wins. And I think that is what separates champions from the rest of the teams. Unbiasedly.
Ladies and gentlemen, and it's at this point that we tell Tara Lee she needs to leave the studio.
Oh my God.
Because we can't talk enough about Liverpool. But Tara, just quickly before we let you go, we're going to actually bring on, quick surprise, we're bringing on Delucia Daniels very quickly to talk some Formula One. We know there's a Formula One Grand Prix taking place this weekend, and we thought who better to get into studio just to join us for a quick 5-minute cameo than our very own Delucia Daniels. Of course, she is on our show on Play by Play on air every Saturday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. Between, call it 8:50. Delucia comes on and talks everything Formula One. So we're going to bring her into studio just to quickly to give us a rundown on Formula One this weekend. But before we let you go, Tara, what are you most looking forward to this weekend? Any sport that is really...
There's a Merseyside derby happening.
Okay.
And that's massive. And speaking of the Merseyside derby, what I did notice in this Liverpool match this past weekend,
Yeah.
the ref was Michael Oliver. Can somebody please tell me who allowed him back to reffing a Liverpool game?
was that
The
the one?
last time, the
Yes.
last match that he reffed was the last Merseyside derby. That's where Slot everybody got a red card. There were fights, and he was suspended.
Yeah.
And of course, he made those comments, derogatory comments about Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool. So who is allowing this very biased ref back in the game?
Hopefully, someone that likes Man United.
I was completely shocked and surprised. Look, I don't think any team is too fond of
Everton.
Michael Oliver.
Oh, Michael Oliver.
Michael Oliver, but especially Liverpool and Arsenal. I think they've suffered a lot under his reffing, so to speak. But I'm definitely looking forward to the Merseyside derby. I think that's a big one. And then Champions League is starting this week.
Yes,
Tomorrow,
and that's very
I see
exciting.
Bayern and Chelsea are playing tomorrow.
Well, this is going out on Thursday, so in other words,
Yeah, so
yesterday
Tuesday, Bayern and Chelsea. Thursday, I think Man City. Let me just check the fixtures. Do you have it in front of you?
I do.
Man City are up against Napoli.
That should be a good one.
That should be a very
that's
good
Kevin
one.
De Bruyne. That's
Kevin
Kevin
De
De Bruyne
Bruyne coming
going
out,
back.
and it's at Man City.
Yeah.
Is at home.
what kind of welcome you think he's going to get?
Ooh.
Hopefully a good one. I mean, they
I
can't.
hope so.
Yeah, they can't. He's probably their best player ever.
Yes.
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, I hope a good one.
Newcastle, Barcelona. That's also very interesting.
That
Thursday
is.
night.
I look at this Napoli side, and I go, that could have been a United midfield.
Yes.
Like Kevin De Bruyne, can you leave City and move to United? Probably not.
Yeah.
But with enough of a nudge, like then you have McTominay holding midfield, the player in the Italian Serie A last year could have been our holding midfielder.
Yeah.
You could have had Mainu on the one side as the baller. You could have had Fernandes, you could have had Cunha, you could have had Bueno, and all of a sudden your team starts looking like something that can take on a Premier League.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm going back to you.
No, but it's fine. But now, who would have made those decisions?
Well, that clown, the Ruben.
Ruben.
I have no... Look, let me quickly run through other fixtures. Okay, so what did it say? Liverpool, Everton, then Merseyside derby, that's going to be big. What other... United, Chelsea... It doesn't get any easier for United. United,
No, it
Chelsea,
doesn't.
I mean, that's another fixture, guys. United, Chelsea. I'm not... At Old Trafford, I still think we're going to lose 2-1. 2-1, that's my prediction. And then on Sunday...
Although
Arsenal-
Chelsea doesn't know who their best 11 is yet, so you
that's
don't
also
know.
true.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, how dare us not mention Arsenal, Manchester City?
That's going to probably be the match of the weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt, that's the match we get. And Liverpool will be licking their lips. If Liverpool pick up a result against the Merseyside derby against Everton, then all we need is Arsenal or Manchester City to drop more points, and Liverpool are smiling.
I think Arsenal could win that
You
one.
reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Who is a better team than them at the moment? Their signings are really good. Gyökeres scoring goals. That's what you want to see when you get a striker.
Yeah. Again, Gyökeres almost came to United,
But he would have been better actually than
Yeah.
the 70 million
Anyway,
you
we can
spent.
continue talking about this for hours. Once again, thank you, Tara Lee.
It's
Ladies
been
and
my
gentlemen,
pleasure.
a newbie to Good Up FM. And of course, a contributor and newsreader on the Hit 30 every Saturday morning, 9 to 12 a.m. We're going to try and get Tara Lee on a little bit more throughout the next couple of episodes. And we can chat everything Formula One, everything football. In the world of football, Tara is, of course, a massive Liverpool fan. Coming up next is Delucia Daniels. I'm going to hope they swap while I talk. But Delucia Daniels coming up next. We're going to talk Silverstone Formula One Grand Prix. Now, let me tell you about this. Lewis Hamilton at home. Last week or 2 weeks ago, he was in the home of the Reds in Italy. This week, he's at home for his, call it, native, where he's from, England. Can Lewis Hamilton finally come to the fore? What's up, D?
I feel like you're talking about a Grand Prix that happened months ago. The British Grand Prix. We're now going to Azerbaijan. We're in Baku.
How did I get that so
I don't know. You're just so Lewis Hamilton obsessed that you had to bring back.
Lewis Silverstone. Why did I think Silverstone?
No, we're back at Azerbaijan this year.
Now you see why we bring Delucia Daniels into studio to talk Formula One, because I know nothing, clearly.
Honestly, can I just say that I think this weekend's going to be super interesting because I think this is the first time we're going to see McLaren go into a weekend where their drivers are on a clean slate. There's no give Lando the position back, give Austin the position back. Because what we saw the last time out at the Grand Prix in Monza, it was very much a conversation of let Lando pass. Don't worry about the fact that we had a slow pit stop. There was a lot of confusion with the Papaya rules. Yeah. And I think now that the score has been evened out, I think McLaren have their drivers going 1-for-1 this weekend.
I still don't know how they get that right, Adrian. Like, how do they find, every team has a leader, and again, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I'm old school, but like, every team has a leader and a second in command, call it that, Ferrari, Leclerc, I think Lewis is pretty accepting of the fact that he's second in charge or whatever it is. How McLaren do this Piastri, Norris thing?
It's weird. I would think that because Norris has been there longer, he's like the more senior driver of the team, that they would maybe prefer him to get the wins. And in my mind, I'm like, look, Piastri's quite young. He's going to have an amazing career ahead of him. Get Lando to sort of win this one and then see. I think they reached that point where they can dictate who they want to win at this point. It's going to be one of the two of them, isn't
I'm
it?
so happy that you brought this up because I'm a Lando fan. I've adored him since he came into the scene. I've watched him in Formula 2 and now in Formula 1. The problem is when Lando came into McLaren were bottom of the barrel team. They were a team that were really struggling, and even though they're a legacy team, they didn't have the momentum that a Red Bull has or a McLaren, and that at that stage it was also Mercedes that were on top.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at a team who's done a complete 180 in the last year because this time last year they were just coming closer to winning the constructors against Red Bull.
Yeah.
So when you look at where they are right now, yes, Lando is young, Oscar is younger, but they're only 2 years apart. This is probably the last time that either of them will battle in the way that they currently are for championships. There's a lot on the line for both drivers, but at the same time,
You think they're going to leave?
well, next year we start with brand new regulations. Everybody's starting from scratch, and as it stands,
What do you mean?
we've got new regulations coming in next year. Everyone's doing an overhaul. The cars get smaller. We get away with no longer having DRS, which has been such a help for these drivers. We go back
No
to
longer DRS.
Yes. We can do a whole
I've been living
conversation.
under a rock.
We'll do a whole conversation on this because they're also getting rid of the fact that they're doing hybrid cars now. So we're having 50% electronic power, and then we're also similar to what Formula E is, but not really. So everyone is having to change their cars for next year, which means everybody starts from scratch.
Oh, wow.
These cats are going to fight out at McLaren till the last race at Abu Dhabi. And I think it's pretty even at the moment. The only problem I'm having, and this is why I'm thanking you for bringing it up, is that Lando is British. And the last British winner we had was Lewis Hamilton in the early 2020s. And I think that there's a lot of pressure on this poor boy from England that needs to perform. But then you have someone like Oscar who is matching him in every single race that he's done. So when Daniel Ricciardo was with Lando Norris, it was a completely different ballgame because Daniel did come in with a big personality and he was making sales, but the car wasn't working with him. Daniel did get their only victory at that stage, but then you had someone like Carlos Sainz before as well, where they were trying to develop the car. McLaren's in such a great position to win it. They are going to win it in Baku. They're going to trade the constructors. We're no longer playing a team game anymore. These guys need to go out and fight. And also, I'm not going to count out Verstappen. If Verstappen wins every single race, and if McLaren let Lando and Oscar fight the way that they currently haven't been fighting, I think we might see it where Lando and Oscar are going to take each other out and Max is going to win another race.
Well, let's just talk quickly this weekend specifically then. You said Baku. What stands out for you? I know Max won last year at Baku. Does that mean you did win, right?
No, Charles Leclerc. Sorry, Oscar Piastri won. Charles Leclerc was on pole position last year.
No, man, that's not what the report says. It says round 17 Formula 1 season heads to Baku circuit for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, where Red Bull's Max Verstappen took victory last time.
No, Max didn't win last year. Max had a terribly slow car. He had a braking issues in the last Grand Prix that we were at Baku. So Charles Leclerc was on pole. He was overtaken by Oscar Piastri, and then we had that incident on the
this report is
penultimate.
completely wrong.
Yes.
I would believe Delucia.
Yes.
I mean, I would also believe it. This reporter here needs to be...
We had a mixed podium last time because then it was Oscar Piastri winning, we had Charles Leclerc second, and George Russell got gifted a podium because Sainz and Perez took each other out in the penultimate lap. So Max has...
But what stands out to you most about the track? Who does it favor? Because I often hear you talk on a Saturday morning when you come on the show with us. That, like, you often talk about the track favors X or favors Y. Who do you reckon this week?
So with Monza, we had ultra downforce track. We're still going into a pretty low downforce track into Baku. And with this very narrow street circuit, this is where the iconic Castle Street, where Charles Leclerc knocked into the castle and said, "I am stupid." Everyone knows that meme. But I think the big thing that stands out for me, my eye is automatically going to go to a car like Sauber. And I know Nico Hülkenberg didn't get to start last week, but that Sauber has serious power on these long straights. So they are a team that we need to look out for. Williams, Alex Albon, oh my goodness, what a fantastic performance he had in Monza, finishing in 5th position. He picked up massive points for Williams. They currently now, in total, with their 84 points, have more points than they've accumulated in 7 years. In half a season.
Wild.
So I feel like the Williams and Sauber, my midfield teams, they're going to battle it out quite nicely. Max Verstappen, he is on a flyer. If he can set up the car that he did in Monza, because he was very responsible for how he was going to set up his car, totally different to Yuki's, Max should be up there in the top 3. And I think the other person I'm looking at is the Ferraris. Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, they should do well. I was disappointed last time out because in qualifying, they did poorly in Monza. They should not have been so low down in the field. Had they gotten that correct, I think we would have seen them on the
That
podium.
first practice was quite good. In
Yes.
So I was like, oh, this is going to be there.
Yeah, Lewis. I think Lewis.
He was in the top three, yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz in the top three as well, and also none of them ended up on the podium.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be Ferrari definitely should be very good at the street circuit. There's no rain, so it's a completely dry track, but it's very technical. Charles Leclerc loves the technical track. Max Verstappen, we know he's an absolute madman on a circuit like this, and I'm going to say Oscar Piastri. If he can get his head down and he can keep focused, he should be able to be in the top three as well.
Well, there you have it, folks. You see, I can't give her 5 minutes. She can talk Formula One until we're all blue in the face. So, Delucia, thank you so much again for your little cameo appearance, as always.
Thank you.
We unfortunately have run out of time. Otherwise, I'd stick around and talk Formula One for the next half an hour as well. And then, of course, thank you also to Tara Lee for joining us, talking all things rugby and football. She's a Liverpool fan, so we're going to try and put that to the side. But in future, we're going to try and get herself back, Couture back, of course, when she's available. And then Carl Lewis, he's also still part of our crew that's been joining us here on the play-by-play off-air and online every Thursday evening, coming to you from, of course, the studios here at the SABC. And then, of course, the man that holds my hand every Saturday morning and on a Thursday evening. He holds my hand, he gives me hugs, he keeps me comfortable. You know what I mean? He makes sure that this thing, that Morgan stays in line, because we all know that Morgan can often be offside sometimes. So, Adrian, thank you so much, bro.
It's a pleasure, and I love being here, love doing this. It was a good one.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend? Quickly, in 1 minute.
I'm looking forward to not watching United lose. I'm gonna just not watch it for my mental health. I'll watch something else rather.
Come to my side.
Yeah,
Don't watch
yeah.
Manchester United and Chelsea, and I promise you'll have a fantastic weekend. That's all from us. Again, catch you guys again next week, same time, same place, and then a reminder, catch us, of course, on air every Saturday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. Play-by-play with myself, Morgan Newman, and Adrian Enley. That's it for me. Peace, everybody. Goodbye.